Welcome to Books and More, the channel where ideas become action. Here, we don't just read books, we extract the lessons that can transform your mindset, your finances, and your life. In today's episode, we explore Rich Dad Poor Dad Cash Flow Quadrant, Book 2 by Robert Kiyosaki, a powerful guide that shows why some people work for money while others make money work for them. If you're tired of trading time for income and want to build true financial freedom, this book will open a new way of thinking. Let's dive in and unlock the path to the right side of wealth. From a young age, I realized that people in society earn money in different ways, and each path leads to a different future. Some seek safety through stable employment, while others pursue independence through business or investments. Later, I illustrated these differences through a model called the cash flow quadrant, which consists of 4 types of earners: E, employees; S, self-employed or specialists; B, business owners; and I, investors. Each represents not just a method of earning money, but a mindset and value system. The more I observed, the more I understood that financial results are shaped not by how hard we work, but by which quadrant we choose to operate in. Growing up, I was influenced by 2 father figures with opposite beliefs about money. My poor dad was highly educated, held a prestigious government position, and believed that success comes from academic excellence and job security. To him, safety, a steady paycheck, and benefits were most important. My rich dad, however, was a business owner with limited formal education but deep financial intelligence. He believed in building systems, entrepreneurship, and investing to create passive income. One father encouraged me to find a secure job. The other challenged me. Why work for money when money can work for you? Their different philosophies shaped how I viewed the world. My poor dad believed that passion for money was bad. My rich dad believed that money provides freedom to do meaningful things. My poor dad pursued job security. My rich dad pursued financial freedom. It was never about money itself, but about control. Who controls your time, decisions, and future? I witnessed both outcomes. The more successful my poor dad became in the world of employment, the less time he had for family. Eventually, the system he served pushed him out, and in his 50s he struggled to find work. He devoted his life to job security only to lose everything he depended on. Meanwhile, my rich dad grew more successful and more free as he built businesses and investments that worked even when he didn't. Rich Dad taught me one of the most powerful lessons of my life through a simple story about carrying buckets versus building pipelines. Most people earn money by carrying buckets, exchanging time for money. When they stop working, money stops. A few choose to build pipelines, systems that generate continuous income. The question that changed my life was, are you carrying buckets or building pipelines? Financial freedom doesn't come from working harder. It comes from choosing the right quadrant and learning the skills required to operate there. The cash flow quadrant revealed to me that wealth isn't measured by income, but by how long you can live without working. In this new world, information and financial intelligence matter more than job titles or academic degrees. You don't need money to start. You don't need a special background. You need a dream, a decision, and the willingness to change who you are. This book is for those who are tired of carrying buckets and ready to build pipelines, for those who want not just income, but freedom. Your life changes the moment you decide to stop working for money and start learning how money can work for you. Part 1. The Cash Flow Quadrant. Looking back on my journey, I realized that financial freedom doesn't depend on how much money you earn, but on how you earn it. In this section, I introduce the most important tool my rich dad taught me, the cash flow quadrant, a model showing 4 types of people who make money in the world: E, employee; S, self-employed; B, business owner; and I, investor. These 4 quadrants form a mental map of how people think about money. Each quadrant represents a different mindset, a different lifestyle, and a different relationship with time and money. If you don't know where you are on the quadrant, you are not in control of your financial future. You are simply drifting. Most people spend their entire lives on the left side of the quadrant, E and S. People in the E quadrant seek security. They trade their time and skills for a steady paycheck, benefits, and a predictable future. For them, certainty and stability are more important than freedom or wealth. People in the S quadrant, the self-employed, have a strong need for independence and control. They believe nobody can do it better than I can. They don't want a boss, but they also don't build systems. They are the system. Even if they earn more than employees, their income depends directly on their effort. If they stop working, the money stops. On the right side of the quadrant, B and I, are people who achieve financial freedom. A B quadrant individual builds systems where other people work for them. A business owner focuses on creating an environment where money flows without their personal effort. An I quadrant individual invests so that money works for them. The difference is clear. People on the left work for money. People on the right build systems so money works for them. Rich Dad explained this through the story of carrying buckets versus building pipelines. Most people carry buckets. They work every day to earn money. If they stop working, the buckets stop moving. A few people choose to build pipelines, systems that deliver money continuously, whether they work or not. It is possible to carry buckets your entire life and never realize that a pipeline was an option. The moment I understood this, everything changed. Rich Dad asked me only one question. Are you spending your life carrying buckets or building pipelines? People often believe that the reason they're not rich is because they don't earn enough. But Rich Dad taught me something radical. People are not poor because of lack of income. They are poor because of how they earn their income. Employees and self-employed individuals exchange time for money. Business owners and investors learn to detach their income from their personal time. The moment you stop trading time for money, you begin to approach financial freedom. Many people think that you need money to invest or start a business. I am living proof that it is not true. When Kim and I began our journey, we had no money, no home, not even a credit card with available balance. But because I had no salary to depend on, I was forced to learn how rich people think, how to create value, how to build systems, how to raise capital and generate cash flow. Not having money became my greatest advantage. It forced me into the B and I mindset. In this part of the book, I also describe how we can identify which quadrant someone belongs to simply by listening to how they talk. An E says, I want job security. An S says, I'll do it myself. A B says, who can I hire to do this? An I asks, what is the return on investment? Your words reveal your mindset. Your mindset reveals your quadrant. Your quadrant determines your financial future. The real challenge is internal. Employees and self-employed people respond to fear differently from business owners and investors. When someone on the left side faces risk, they seek security and control. When someone on the right side faces risk, they seek education and opportunity. Rich Dad called it financial intelligence. It is the ability to see money not with your eyes, but with your mind, through numbers, systems, and strategy. One of the biggest differences between people on each side is how they view time. People in the E and S quadrants think short-term. They want immediate payment for their work. People in the B and I quadrants think long-term. They are willing to work without immediate pay because they build pipelines that will pay them for life. Part 1 also reveals the contrast between my two fathers. My poor dad climbed the corporate ladder, earned degrees, and served the system. But when the system no longer needed him, he had no income. He was highly educated but financially vulnerable. My rich dad, with a limited schooling, built businesses and investments. As he grew older, he became richer and freer. I saw clearly. One father carried buckets, the other built pipelines. The most important realization of Part 1 is that you must choose your quadrant before you choose your career or your opportunities. You can be a doctor, engineer, artist, chef, but how you earn determines whether you will be free. You can have any profession in the world and still choose to operate as an employee or build systems as a business owner and investor. To move to the right side of the quadrant, you must be willing to learn, to face fear, and to change. Changing jobs is easy. Changing quadrants requires you to transform your thinking and your identity. The day you decide to stop working for money and start learning how money can work for you, that is the exact moment you begin your journey toward financial freedom. Part 2. Unleashing the best within you. If Part 1 explains the differences between the 4 quadrants of the cash flow quadrant, then Part 2 is the internal transformation, the journey of becoming the kind of person who can walk to the right side of the quadrant. Financial freedom does not begin with money. It begins with mindset, beliefs, identity, and personal growth. To step into the B and I quadrants, you must first step into a different version of yourself. For many years, I believed financial success was about knowledge and techniques, how to invest, how to read financial statements, how to analyze markets. But my rich dad told me something uncomfortable. You'll never become rich if you remain the same person on the inside. At first, I didn't understand. Eventually, I learned that the biggest obstacles to wealth are internal: fear, doubt, lack of belief, and emotional reactions to money. People fail not because they lack information, but because they lack the courage to act on it. Knowledge is useless without action, and action does not come without inner transformation. Financial freedom is not a skill set, it is a spiritual journey, a journey of becoming someone who can handle the responsibility and freedom that wealth brings. In this section, I talk about discovering who I wanted to become. I had to ask myself a difficult question. Who do I want to be when I grow up? Not what job do I want, but who do I want to become? I grew up surrounded by 2 father figures. One believed in job security and climbing the corporate ladder. The other believed in building businesses and investing. The first wanted safety, the second wanted freedom. I realized that if I followed my poor dad's path, education, employment, retirement plan, I would trade my life and time for a paycheck. But if I followed my rich dad, I would have to face uncertainty, risk, and failure. I had to choose between security and freedom. And I chose freedom, even when it meant sleeping in my car, struggling financially, and confronting my fears. Freedom has a price. It requires personal evolution. In the next chapter of this part, people often ask me, "How did you become rich?" The truth is, I became rich because I became the kind of person who could create wealth. Wealth wasn't a single breakthrough or lucky investment. It was the result of transformation, from someone afraid of making mistakes into someone who learned from every mistake. Poor dad taught me to avoid failure. Rich dad taught me to embrace it. According to rich dad, failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is the path to success. The more I failed, the more I learned. Every failure sharpened my instincts, strengthened my character, and taught me how to see what others could not. Another chapter shares one of the most important shifts of mindset. Be the bank, not the employee of the bank. People on the left side of the quadrant think about money in terms of jobs, salaries, and saving accounts. They see banks as institutions that hold their money or offer them employment. But people on the right side of the quadrant understand that banks are financial machines. Employees put money into the bank to earn tiny interest. Investors borrow money from the bank to create massive returns. The poor say, "I can't afford it." The rich ask, "How can I make it happen?" The poor trade time for money. The rich trade ideas for money. The core message of Part 2 is that stepping into the B or I quadrant is not about acquiring money. It is about acquiring courage, confidence, and character. To move to the right side, you must confront fears you've avoided your whole life. Fear of losing money, fear of being wrong, fear of being criticized, fear of not knowing enough. Most people retreat to the left side because the right side forces them to face themselves. They cling to safety, a paycheck, a title, a job description. But safety is just another word for giving up control. Rich Dad said, "Freedom is not free. The price of freedom is facing your fears. True investors do not avoid risk. They learn how to manage and control it. Risk comes not from investments, but from lack of knowledge. People are not scared of losing money. They are scared of being wrong, of feeling inadequate, of being judged for failing. The key to overcoming fear is not thinking. It is action. You don't think your way out of fear. You move through fear by taking action. I failed countless times. I lost money. I faced humiliation. But every time I fell, I got up stronger. Success demands persistence. Wealth requires endurance. The difference between the poor and the rich is not intelligence, it is resilience. Part 2 also emphasizes the power of purpose and belief. Knowledge gives you tools. Purpose fuels your journey. Belief keeps you moving forward when results don't show up yet. In the E and S quadrants, people get rewarded immediately. They work, they get paid. But in the B and I quadrants, rewards come much later, after the struggle, after discipline, after delayed gratification. That requires patience and emotional maturity. You must surrender the short-term comfort of a paycheck to gain long-term freedom. To become rich, you must believe you are capable of being rich. If you don't believe it, you won't act like it. And if you don't act like it, you won't become it. Ultimately, Part 2 teaches that financial transformation follows personal transformation. Wealth is not something you pursue. Wealth is something you attract by the person you become. When you realize the battle is not against money, but against your own doubts, fears, and limiting beliefs, you finally understand why only a few achieve financial freedom. You are not just building assets. You are building a new version of yourself. Part 3. The path to the right side of the cash flow quadrant. If Part 1 shows you the differences between the 4 quadrants, and Part 2 transforms your mindset to become someone capable of moving to the right side, then Part 3 is the roadmap, the practical steps. This section lays out the 7 steps that helped me move from being broke and homeless to becoming financially free. These are not theories, but actions I took in real life. People always say they want to be free, but wanting freedom is not enough. Freedom requires commitment. Freedom requires action. Step 1. Mind your own business. Most people spend their entire lives building someone else's dream. They work for companies, banks, governments. They believe that hard work will eventually lead to wealth. But Rich Dad taught me, work on your assets first, not your job. Your job provides income. Your assets provide freedom. An asset is anything that puts money into your pocket without requiring your presence. Rental properties, investments, intellectual property, systems, or businesses that run with or without you. Every dollar you earn should be directed toward building your asset column. The moment you focus on acquiring assets instead of spending money to maintain a lifestyle, you begin your journey to the right side of the cash flow quadrant. Step 2. Control your cash flow. People don't become poor because they don't earn enough. They become poor because they cannot control how money flows in and out of their life. Money obeys the laws of emotion and discipline. When people earn more, they spend more. They buy comfort instead of assets. They accumulate liabilities, cars, bigger houses, gadgets, things that look like assets but take money out of their pocket. Rich Dad told me, money doesn't speak with words. Money speaks through numbers. Until you understand financial statements, the income statement, and the balance sheet, you will never see where your money goes. Once you learn to read these reports, money stops being a mystery and becomes something you can direct and multiply. Step 3. Know the difference between risk and being risky. Most people avoid investing because they believe investing is risky. Rich Dad corrected me. Investing is only risky when you don't know what you're doing. Risk is not in the investment. Risk is in the investor. What prevents people from becoming investors isn't lack of intelligence, it's fear. Fear of losing money, fear of making the wrong decision, fear of looking foolish. When people on the left side of the quadrant feel fear, they seek security. When people on the right side feel fear, they seek knowledge. They don't run away from risk, they learn how to manage it. The question is not, what if I lose money? The question is, what must I learn so I can win? Step 4. Decide what kind of investor you want to be. There are two kinds of investors. The first kind puts money into opportunities that others present to them, stocks someone recommends, real estate someone else found, or business deals others create. They are followers. The second kind is the type Rich Dad trained me to become, an investor who creates opportunities. A true investor sees value before others do. They understand markets, they analyze numbers, and they control the outcomes. They choose the game, and they choose their position in the game. This is the quadrant of business owners and investors. Investors on the right side don't chase opportunities, they build them. Step 5. Find mentors and build a team. On the path to financial freedom, you don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You only need to learn from the right people. Rich Dad used to say, your guide is more important than your destination. Successful people build teams, accountants, attorneys, financial advisors, business partners, each contributing expertise. Unsuccessful people try to do everything on their own because they want control or because they think they can save money. That is how people get stuck in the S quadrant. They are the system, so they cannot step away. People who succeed don't ask, how do I do this? They ask, who can help me do this? Freedom is built with teamwork, not isolation. Step 6. Turn your frustration into power. This step is deeply personal because it is my story. Kim and I slept in our car. We had no money, no home, and no certainty. People laughed at us. They told us we were irresponsible for not getting a job. We weren't broke because we were lazy. We were broke because we refused to give up our dream. I learned that success is the process of moving from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. Most people quit when things get uncomfortable. They go back to safety, back to a paycheck. But failure isn't the end, quitting is. Every failure brought me closer to success because each failure taught me what I needed to know. Rich Dad taught me, winners use failure, losers are stopped by it. The moment you decide not to quit, that is the moment success begins. Step 7. The power of faith. Every financial transformation begins with belief. You cannot become rich if you don't believe you can be rich. The world won't believe in you until you believe in yourself. On the right side of the quadrant, results don't come immediately. Your belief must carry you through the period when nothing appears to be working. Money follows faith and knowledge. Fear attracts poverty. Faith is not dreaming. Faith is continuing to act when results haven't shown up yet. When your belief is strong, the how will reveal itself. Conclusion of Part 3. These 7 steps are not a checklist. They are a journey of becoming. Once you commit to moving from the left side to the right side of the cash flow quadrant, everything in your life will change. Your habits, your friends, your priorities, and your identity. The day you decide to stop working for money and start building systems so money works for you is the day you truly step into financial freedom.